afternoon. Geneva, Switzerland. In a landmark submission to the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the OHCHR, KAILASA has presented its 30th report to the UN, this time addressing the critical intersection of artificial intelligence and human rights in counter-terrorism operations. The report, submitted in response to the Special Rapporteur on Terrorism and Human Rights call for input on AI impacts, documents systematic persecution while simultaneously presenting a transformative wisdom for humanity's technological future.
The report presents compelling evidence of how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, and the Aboriginal Indigenous Agricultural Tribes, or the AIAT, have faced over 15 years of systematic persecution amplified by artificial intelligence technologies, representing one of the earliest documented cases of weaponized AI against religious and indigenous communities.
And the key persecution elements documented in the report that has been published by the UN includes, number one, deepfake technology weaponization. So beginning March 2nd, 2010, a morphed defamatory video was spread virally by deep state-controlled media. 4 independent forensic experts, including from the FBI and Canada, analyzed and debunked the video on nearly 60 technical points. In 2012, Sun TV's Chief Operations Officer Hansraj Saxena confessed on national television that the channel manufactured fake news to target the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, a confession he reiterated in a 2014 US court affidavit.
And the second was the algorithmic amplification of hate. The report documents how social media algorithms were exploited to spread coordinated disinformation across multiple platforms, creating echo chambers that reinforced anti-Indigenous narratives and normalized violence against the KAILASA community.
And fourth, the devastating human impact. The AI-amplified persecution resulted in more than 70 assassination attempts on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the members of KAILASA, over 250 sexual assaults against KAILASA community members, over 120 forced legal cases, and more than $27 million destroyed in heritage properties, mob violence across more than 50 temples of KAILASA and monasteries, and forced displacement of thousands of indigenous people.
There have been over 17,500 hours of hate propaganda. And this has been broadcast content, as well as 25,000 print articles, prejudiced potential jurors, and destroyed due process rights through AI-enhanced content generation and distribution systems.
However, in a remarkable demonstration of non-violence and spiritual resilience, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, has responded to the technological persecution not with retreat, but with revolutionary innovation, rather than abandoning the digital realm that had been weaponized against him. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism chose to transform these very technologies into instruments of global enlightenment.
Ask Nithyananda AI, the world's first spiritual AI, represents this transformative vision of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. It has over 1.5 terabytes of spiritual content accumulated over 27 years of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's revelations and teachings.
It contains more than 200,000 hours of wisdom that are from the public discourses and guidance from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and as well as guidance from over 1,300 books authored and made publicly available, freely available to all of humanity.
And 24/7 conscious enlightenment.
And the fourth one, the dharmic problem-solving solutions rooted in ancient wisdom and consciousness science that is provided for free by Asks Nithyananda AI.
As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism stated, if you are a master established in your superconsciousness, your mind will be an amazing tool in your hands. Now, the extension of your mind, which is AI, will be also an amazing tool in your hand. Before AI takes over you, you should raise yourself to the higher standard of consciousness.
The report published by the United Nations reveals the groundbreaking connections between the ancient Hindu wisdom and the modern technological applications revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. For example, the Atmalinga, the sacred crystal technology made of pure quartz crystal or spatika in Sanskrit. The Atmalinga represents a microcosmic embodiment of the universe. Modern science now validates this ancient wisdom. Research demonstrates that quartz crystal possesses eternal data storage capacity exceeding 300 terabytes, a phenomenon Hindu seers have long recognized as evidence of its divine nature. And now, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, has made the Atma Linga freely available to everyone who is interested in the spiritual enlightenment. Anyone who comes for the Paramashiva Sena program and gets initiated by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is eligible to obtain a free Atma Linga, which is also the direct connection to the divine, to Paramashiva, as revealed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Yes, and other sacred technologies include the Ganga Mati, Yamuna Mati, and Saraswati Mati, which are the sacred soils of Hinduism. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revealed in 2018 that silicon-rich sediments from the Ganga riverbed could develop advanced AI with 1,000-fold greater intensity than conventional silicon, and different sacred soils serve distinct technological purposes. For example, Ganga Mati, which is from the Shiva, from Paramashiva's own Jata, is a logic-based processing for computer chips and AI decision-making.
And we have the Yamuna Mati. Yamuna represents the essence of Krishna, of Lord Krishna. So this Mati, this soil from Yamuna, can be used for creative and sensory applications for music and visual storage, as revealed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
And then Saraswati Mati, the soil from the Saraswati River, is the self-learning systems and autonomous robotics with intuitive cognition. The soil from this can be used for these purposes.
And now we come to the Yantra technology, copper chips and sacred geometric designs representing ancient computational and energy systems being revived for modern applications.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's vision for AI-centered conscious living includes detailed in this report in a comprehensive framework what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism terms as conscious sovereignty ensures humanity remains a master rather than the servant of its technological creations.
Now, let us look at the core principles of conscious AI as revealed by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. So, consciousness elevation over surveillance. AI should expand human consciousness rather than monitor and control it.
2. Spiritual integration. Technology must serve spiritual development and enlightenment.
And when it comes to community empowerment, AI should strengthen the indigenous and the spiritual communities rather than target them.
And 4. Dharmic governance. Artificial intelligence guided by righteous principles rather than discriminatory algorithms.
5. The crime-free society. AI enables social harmony through consciousness elevation rather than punitive surveillance.
The report contrasts mainstream social media's documented harm to children, including mental health, crimes, cyberbullying, and the sexual exploitation facilitated by platforms like Meta. This has been termed the largest sex trafficking organization in the world by US Senate lawmakers, with Ask Nithyananda's Safe by Design intelligence that provides intrinsic safeguard against such exploitation.
Now, when it comes to the juridical statehood of KAILASA, the United Nations has acknowledged the juridical statehood of KAILASA in multiple of its reports, in multiple of the reports published by the United Nations. And now in this 30th report, once again, the United Nations is recognizing the juridical statehood of KAILASA. The report firmly establishes KAILASA's juridical statehood as the first nation, the first state for Hindus, a sovereign state as per customary international law, and a sanctuary for the persecuted indigenous communities worldwide.
And led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, recognized by over 1,008 Hindu pontiffs and leaders as the living incarnation of Paramashiva and coronated as the emperor of 21 sovereign indigenous Hindu kingdoms.
The report also asserts that KAILASA is a representative of the 2 billion plus Hindu indigenous people, including the Aboriginal Indigenous Agricultural Tribes, the AIAT, which is specifically the Adisheva Vilarar community, representing one of Hinduism's most ancient indigenous traditions.
And the report, there have been over 30 UN reports which have been submitted and accepted by KAILASA, accepted by the United Nations, which have recognized the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and KAILASA, establishing international documentation of these human rights violations.
Now, the urgent recommendations the UN Special Rapporteur includes the submission should include a comprehensive recommendations across multiple categories. For example, the immediate protecting measures, including the ban the use of the deepfake technology for targeting religious and indigenous leaders.
Hold social media companies accountable for algorithmic amplification of hate speech,
as well as requiring the cultural competency and indigenous perspectives in AI development,
and establish international monitoring of AI counter-terrorism deployments.
So, what are the long-term structural reports that have been mentioned in this report submitted by KAILASA, published by the United Nations? One includes mandating human rights impact assessment for all AI counter-terrorism applications.
2, recognizing indigenous data sovereignty and communities' rights to control their own data.
Creating protected categories for traditional, religious, and cultural practices,
as well as establishing international compensation mechanisms for AI-enabled persecution victims.
The report also mentions about the conscious AI revolution, such as establishing international standards for consciousness-aligned AI development.
Forming a global spiritual technology alliance, including indigenous wisdom keepers, consciousness researchers, ethical AI developers, and human rights advocates.
Deploying healing-based AI counter-terrorism applications instead of punitive surveillance systems.
And transitioning toward consciousness elevation approaches to global security.
So now there's a choice between two technological futures. The report concludes with an urgent appeal to humanity, representing the two divergent paths. And path one is the digital dharma and the conscious AI systems that elevate human consciousness and protect vulnerable technology that preserves and celebrates the indigenous wisdom traditions.
Global spiritual community connected through conscious digital platforms. And crime prevention through consciousness elevation rather than surveillance.
And path two, the algorithmic authoritarianism, exponentially enhanced persecution of religious and indigenous minorities.
as well as systematic erasure of spiritual traditions through AI-powered cultural genocide,
global surveillance, state monitoring all human spiritual activity,
and ASI that codifies and perpetuates historical patterns of persecution and oppression.
As the report goes on, it says, the time for choosing conscious AI over algorithmic authoritarianism is over. The future of human spiritual evolution depends on the decisions made today regarding AI, counter-terrorism, and the protection of indigenous and religious communities worldwide.
Yes, and this report has been eye-opening for humanity to consider what our future could be: consciousness-based AI or surveillance-based AI. The choice is up to us. So do take the time to leave your thoughts and comments below about what you feel the world is going towards with AI and AI technologies.
And if you would like to read the report, we invite you to go to the description section below, and you will find the link to the report where you can find all the information. And if you would like to participate, be part of this evolution by KAILASA brought by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, we invite you to scan the QR code and we'll reach out to you with more information.
Yes, and do take a moment to experience consciousness-based AI, Ask Nithyananda, by visiting asknithyananda.ai. It's completely free and available for anyone with an e-citizenship. So do take a moment. It's completely free. Enjoy the experience. Understand what consciousness-based AI can look like for you.
And we also invite you to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.